A mom from Florida is behind bars accused of using a video game to try to get a 10-year-old to murder a baby. I have the disturbing allegations in the case of Tara Sykes and why she was already on the sheriff's radar. Additionally, the child said Sykes instructed her to kill her temporary guardians and her adult daughter by cutting their throats with a knife while they were asleep. The child said Sykes instructed her on how to burn the home down by dousing bed sheets with aerosol spray, placing the sheets around the house, and setting them on fire.
So this is one of the most bizarre, head-scratching cases I've seen in quite some time. And of course, naturally, this is out of Florida, where all the crazy things that you can think of happen. I mean, there's a reason that there's the term Florida man, but now we have a Florida woman also doing something completely insane, murderous, and evil. So not all the details of the story have officially come to light because it is still an ongoing case. Nothing has been completely finalized as of this moment. However, there is a lot of information out there and some speculative information I have to provide you as well. Now, the premise of this story is that this woman, Sykes, used the very well-known platform called Roblox that some of you may be familiar with. It is a video game mostly played by young children. Some adults play it too, but it is a game that mostly teenagers and young children play, similarly to Minecraft in that sense. And she used this platform to instruct a literal 10-year-old to murder his little baby sister or brother. I'm not exactly sure. They don't want to disclose a whole lot of information about the infant, so for the majority of this topic, we're going to refer to this child as an infant. But yes, this woman through Roblox gave detailed instructions on how to murder this child. Now, the motive for why this woman would do this, Tara Sykes, is still unclear, but I do have a theory, a game theory, if you will. And based off of some information that we're going to uncover later, we'll try to piece that all together and I'll explain why these thoughts make sense. Anyway, I will say this child was unsuccessful, but did attempt to unalive this baby per this woman's instructions. And not only that, but she even gave this child instructions on how to kill that family and burn the house down. I know this sounds very difficult to believe, but if this wasn't true, you wouldn't be watching this video right now, nor would I have made it. But unfortunately, this is the sad reality of this case, and some deranged psychotic lunatic really thought it appropriate to coax a young child into murdering an entire family. Thankfully, even though the kid did attempt to fulfill these tasks, they were unsuccessful. And there are many situations where young children have killed. There have been children as young as 9 years old incarcerated for murder. So this isn't like something that couldn't have ever happened. No, it very well could have been a reality, and this child could have murdered this entire family because of this woman's instructions.
A mom from Florida is behind bars accused of using a video game to try to get a 10-year-old to murder a baby. I have the disturbing allegations in the case of Tara Sykes and why she was already on the sheriff's radar. Tara Sykes is in jail in Pensacola, Florida, facing charges of attempted murder and aggravated child abuse. Sykes tried to get a child to murder a baby and also other family members. The investigation started on October 18th. An affidavit says deputies got a tip about the incident from a worker at a home for children who've been abused.
So you heard it here first. This evil, maniacal, disgusting, poor excuse for a human being known as Tara Sykes literally tried to coax a child into murdering their family. Now, a lot of you have to be wondering, I wonder this too, and this isn't really uncovered in this news report of what the motivation could have been. And I'm going to give you just a tidbit of what's going on in my brain on why I think this happened. Now, what you'll learn about Tara Sykes later is that she had a 14-year-old daughter, still has a 14-year-old daughter as far as we know, who was pregnant at the time, months and months and months ago. And it seems like it's very possible that that 14-year-old had that baby. Now, something even more disturbing about the 14-year-old being pregnant, obviously more disturbing than a 14-year-old being pregnant in general, but is that it was by a 20-year-old who was an acquaintance of her parents. Yeah, you heard that right. Some acquaintance of her parents. So what I have been speculating is that the infant involved, the 2.5-month-old infant, was probably that 14-year-old's child. Now, it's very clear, it's abundantly clear that Miss Tara Sykes and her man are not good parents, which means, and you'll see shortly, that a lot of child protective services did get involved with them, and they don't explicitly say what their involvement is, but it seems pretty likely that those kids were taken away from them, except for the 14-year-old. So the 10-year-old, because you'll see that picture of them, there's 3 kids with them, and it seems like at the very least, the 10-year-old and probably the 14-year-old's baby were taken away from them and then put into some sort of foster care where they were obviously being taken care of by this family. And that's when Tara contacts the 10-year-old, which is her child. Again, this is speculative. Don't take everything I say with a grain of salt here, because I could very, very, very well be wrong. This is still an ongoing case. I'm just giving you guys my thoughts, and I think it makes a lot of sense. It just, why else would she be contacting some random 10-year-old to murder their family? It seemed like a situation where that 10-year-old is hers, and maybe she wants her kids back, and maybe she thinks the way to do that is to get rid of that baby and to get rid of that family. And that seems to be what was happening. On October 18th, 2024, I responded to the Gulf Coast Kids House, where I contacted the Child Protection Team, CPT, coordinator Maggie Howell, who provided me with the following sworn statements under oath. Howell explained on September 26, 2024, DCF received a hotline tip for inadequate supervision of the infant, who had suffered a skull fracture after being dropped in a solid tile floor by the 10-year-old. According to the tip, the 10-year-old picked up the infant after he became fussy and was walking into the kitchen with him to find an adult, which he accidentally dropped him. So I stated earlier that I wasn't sure, the genders of the children involved, the infant and the 10-year-old, but now we do know the 10-year-old is in fact a girl, and then the infant is a boy. The infant was picked up off the floor by the 10-year-old, identified as obviously blank here, and taken to Sacred Heart Hospital for treatment. Now this blank right here, I think, is saying the relationship between Tara Sykes and the 10-year-old or the baby. So in my mind, I think it either says like the grandmother of the infant or the mother of the 10-year-old, one or the other. Again, take my hypothesis with a grain of salt. Nothing has been confirmed yet. Identified as Tara Sykes through the online application Roblox. In the communication thread, Sykes instructed the 10-year-old on various methods to kill the infant. Sykes instructed the 10-year-old to drown the infant in the bathtub, burn him with scalding water, and drop the infant on the floor to kill him. I mean, let's be for real. It goes without saying that trying to put a 10-year-old up to these murderous deeds for you has to be one of the most diabolical things I've ever heard. I couldn't even imagine what was going through this woman's mind. Like, this is complete lunacy, psychopathy. Like, it's one thing to want to murder somebody, to want to murder a whole family, that's insanity in and of itself. But then to try to have a 10-year-old enact these murders for you, that's unfathomable to me. But that is exactly what this woman attempted to do, and she did it through Roblox of all things. Now, one thing that just really scratches my head thinking about this is, why did she try to have this child do 3 different methods of murder at the same time for this infant? Not only did she want the 10-year-old to drown the child, which is already murder, and then to boil the child alive? Is that what they were saying? Because it seemed like it was a succession, right? It started with the drowning, then the boiling, and then dropping. I really don't understand that. Did she just really want this 10-year-old to be as thorough as possible? I mean, how would she even do that second thing, to go boil some hot water and then throw it on? How do you even conjure this idea in your mind? That is so disgusting and evil. To want somebody, and especially if this is in fact her grandchild, to want to have this child suffer in one of the most horrible ways imaginable, being boiled alive. And the 10-year-old did attempt to kill this kid. I mean, she says it was an accident, that she didn't intentionally drop the child, but that was the instruction, was to drop that child on their head. And that poor infant suffered a skull fracture. This infant very much could have died. I don't know if you all know this, but babies are extremely fragile, especially their little heads. They're not quite as solid and, well put together and formed as an adult head, an adult skull. So dropping a baby on their head could very well be a death sentence. Now, I again severely doubt this was an accident because she was directly instructed to do this. Now, I know a question that is definitely flaring up in everybody's minds right now is why would this 10-year-old actually try to carry out these deeds? And we will get to that very shortly, but I will give you a quick explanation. It's simple. The mother involved here was threatening her.
Investigators say Sykes didn't want to just kill the baby. She wanted this child to kill other people in the house where she was living. Additionally, the child said Sykes instructed her to kill her temporary guardians and her adult daughter by cutting their throats with a knife while they were asleep. The child said Sykes instructed her on how to burn the home down by dousing bed sheets with aerosol spray, placing the sheets around the house, and setting them on fire. The child said she doused the sheets as instructed but was unable to carry out instructions. The child confessed she had communicated with Sykes through a Roblox account.
So if you didn't believe me before that this kid really tried to carry out these murders, well, there you have it. She was given detailed instructions on how to murder these people in their sleep and then to burn the house down with aerosol and bed sheets. Like, how I can't even begin to process how deranged this human being could be, how depraved this person could be. How could you ever justify this in your brain that instructing a 10-year-old to do this is a good idea? I don't know exactly what her goal was in the end of this, but again, I think maybe it was to get her kid back. I don't know. I really don't, because there's just not a whole lot of information out there about this, and it's probably going to be a couple more months, who knows how long, before the full truth of the story is completely unveiled. But we will answer that question on why the 10-year-old actually went through with these deeds, or attempted to at least.
The affidavit quotes the child as saying she was terrified and feared Sykes would kill her if she didn't follow the instructions. Investigators say they spoke with other adults who confirmed they saw the Roblox messages. Sykes is being held without bail, but this isn't her first brush with the law. Last May, deputies went to the Sykes' home and discovered her 14-year-old daughter was pregnant and underweight, suffering from malnutrition. An affidavit for that case says, I also asked several questions, and after several lies by suspect T. Sykes, which ultimately led suspect T. Sykes into admitting that she and her husband, suspect J. Sykes, knew that their daughter was pregnant in November 2023 by a 20-year-old acquaintance of theirs.
Now, I really want to address this last bit of information. So here's where we get that confirmation that the 14-year-old was pregnant in November 2023. Now, what I want you to understand is that the Roblox event happened around October of 2024, about 11 months later. Now, if this child, the 14-year-old, was pregnant around this time, November, say a couple months, about 2 months, usually around the time that people find out for certain that they are pregnant, around the 2-month mark. When you say the 14-year-old is for sure about 2 months pregnant towards the end of November, early December, something like that, and you add roughly another 7 months or so, and the baby is born around July, and then 3 months later you end up in October, which is around when this event happens, and the baby is roughly 3 months old. So I know it's like we don't have all the information, but just based off of that, which I can make that logical conclusion, yeah, the baby would be around 3 months old, most likely at this time, because, well, we do know for a fact that the baby is about 3 months old, the baby in question, but also the 14-year-old baby would be about the same age. So that's kind of how I'm drawing the connection. There's also other articles that I've read that have made similar conclusions as well. They've kind of theorized the same thing I have, that the baby in question here is this disgusting criminal's grandson. Now on to the motive, the reason that the 10-year-old is willing to carry out these deeds, probably because that person communicating with her through Roblox was her mother. Yeah, her mother. I'm assuming, I can't be 100% certain, but it very much seems like, I mean, why else would she even take this person seriously? Why would she even give this person an audience? Why, you know, like, there's just, why would this person even contact her? How would she, like, there clearly has to be some sort of connection. There has to be. And obviously this person threatening to kill her if she doesn't carry out these deeds, it just seems like there's just too much lining up for this to not be the case. Once again, I will say it, I could very well be wrong, but I don't think so. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider purchasing my book. It is a horror mystery story called The Elevator Man. Gotten a lot of feedback, a lot of reviews, and guess what? They've all been pretty damn good. So if you're into this kind of stuff, I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Till next time.